Okay, I'm going to call to order the Mount Diablo Unified School District Board meeting for January 14th. We're coming back from our closed session. I will start with, first off, everybody is here and we've been joined by our student board member, Trustee Barilla Ariana. And we are going to start with our land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of Lashawn, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok, Northern Yokot, the successors of the Sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community, it is vitally important that we are not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District and broader Bay Area communities today. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance now? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. So, at closed session, the board had voted in a matter of anticipated litigation. Oh, I was looking at my agenda. Okay. Review and potential approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting held December 10th, 2025.
Madam President, I move the board approve the minutes for the regular meeting held on December 10th, 2025.
I'll say second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'm not sure which one weighed in first. It was Lawrence first. All right. Trustee. Okay, well, I'll talk slow then. Trustee Barilla Oriana, how would you vote?
Yes.
Okay, the rest of us are getting signed in. And it's very good. Passes unanimously. All righty. Next order of business is review of potential approval of the agenda. Dr. Clark?
Yes, Madam President, I would like to pull item 14.10.
All righty, thank you.
Question. There was also one of the board policies that we are not going to consider. Will we?
During the policies, I'll pull it at that point.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. The entire
Whole
thing.
item.
Correct.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve the agenda with item 14.10 being pulled.
Second.
Okay. We have motion by Trustee Mayo, second by Trustee McDougall. Trustee Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0-0. All right. Now we'll have a report out of closed session. 7.0, report out of closed session, anticipated litigation in the matter of one case, anticipated litigation, the board by a vote of 5-0 give direction to outside counsel. Consideration to hear appeal of a decision in a complaint against an employee per board policy 1312.1. In that matter, the board voted 5-0 to decide not to hear an appeal of the complaint against the district employee pursuant to the code, Administrative Regulation 1312.1. And the board voted to approve the readmission of student 09-23 to the regular schools in the Mount Diablo Unified School District. And that concludes our report from closed session. and takes us to public comment. Are we voting public? You want to vote now on that? We voted in closed session. We can vote again. We're good? Okay. Public comment. Do we have any public comment cards? How many cards? Okay, we have 6 public speakers at this time. Public comment is 30 minutes, so we will be done at 6:36 in case other folks decide to turn in cards later. Amanda Sakaras?
Good evening, trustees and superintendent. My name is Amanda Sakach, and I teach family literacy ESL classes for Mount Diablo Adult Education. Although I'm a member of the Pleasant Hill City Council, I'm speaking tonight in a private capacity as a teacher for Mount Diablo since 2012. I wanted to share a little bit about our student successes. Our free family literacy ESL program helps parents learn English through life skills and school readiness lessons, and the children also learn important pre-literacy and social skills. Many of my adult students have gone on to pass their citizenship tests, work to support their families, or have gone on to other programs at Mount Diablo Adult Education, such as our EMT, our high school program, and Project Access, which is a program we have with DVC whereby students learn to become preschool teachers. Unfortunately, it's been difficult to keep and attract teachers to our program because every other adult school in the area pays much more. 2 of our teachers departed last year to teach at Akalani's adult school, where the starting pay is about $20 more an hour. Additionally, it's difficult to promote from within. Our senior instructional assistants get paid vacation time, but teachers don't. Many SIAs prefer to stay at the assistant level for this reason. Additionally, our family literacy early childhood attendants make more than the preschool teachers when factoring in such things as vacation pay and overtime. We've had an opening for a preschool teacher at Cambridge Family Literacy since the fall. I want to close by thanking the district for supporting our programs which fuel our local economy and ensure student success at the K through 12 levels. We all know parent participation is key to student success, and our program engages and empowers students to be partners in their children's education. Thank you.
You. Our next speaker would be Shanahan Hamady. Shahana.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shabana Hamidi. I'm from Afghanistan. I coming to USA in 2019, and my country went to school in 8th grade, but at Loma Vista right now in 2 years of English. Well, my children attend the family letters and preschool. They knew their elementary Bell area, and they're happy and agreement and also attendance citizen to test, and I'm now citizen, but thank you for supporting Loma Vista, our school.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Next, it's Brandon Engelbert.
All right. Good evening, Superintendent Clark and trustees. My name is Brandon Engelbert. I was here last meeting and I signed up for public comment, and I think by virtue of not putting the number, whatever it was, I wound up sitting and hearing everybody else talking. I didn't have the chance to. It was really cool to hear about the Afghani refugees and such last meeting. I did enjoy that experience. But I'm here tonight as a Monty Gardens parent, a former Parents Club president, and a classroom volunteer. And just about 2 weeks ago, I also decided to take the leap of managing my daughter's Little League baseball team. So your thoughts and prayers are very much appreciated. With my oldest now in 4th grade and a kindergartner to join next fall, I'll be repeating many of the same activities all over again. I like to stay engaged, and that engagement puts me in position to see firsthand what's happening in our school community. Which brings me to tonight. Tonight, I want to acknowledge someone who represents the very best, I'm going to start crying. Very best what we hope for in our schools. So Principal Alexander Bennett. On December 2nd, my daughter was recognized at the City of Concord City Council meeting for artwork she submitted to the Mayor's Art Contest. It was already a moment she'll remember for years, but what made it unforgettable was seeing Principal Bennett outside the City Council meeting before the doors even opened up. There's no fanfare, no announcement. He simply showed up entirely on his own time to support a student. And it's important to acknowledge that Monty Gardens in this district is full of people who go above and beyond. For example, our noon supervisors, Marie and Tony, came out in the evening of November 14th to support a small group of Monty Gardens students performing at a choir event at Concord High. Their presence mattered, and recognizing Principal Bennett tonight doesn't take away from others. Instead, I believe it highlights something bigger. Our children thrive because so many caring adults consistently choose to show up for them in ways that aren't required but deeply felt. These gestures are not small. My daughter walked out of that chapter with a smile that said everything: taller, prouder, and more confident, because someone she admires chose to be there for her. As a parent, that meant more than I can express in 3 minutes. Here's where I knew it was going to happen. And if I make it to the end of this without tearing up, that will be a minor miracle. So tonight, I want to offer Principal Bennett some pure, sincere appreciation, not just for attending that event, but for understanding the power of presence and for modeling a kind of leadership that strengthens the school community one child, one moment at a time. And I want to thank the board as well, because a culture where leaders, noon supervisors, and staff feel empowered to go above and beyond doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of the values and expectations you set at the top. Thank you for giving me the space to share this, and thank you to every educator and staff member who continues to lift up our children in ways big and small. They may not always make the agenda, but they absolutely make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry you had to wait, but it was well worth the wait. Okay. Thank you. Okay, next would be Dave Bellman.
All right. Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Clark. My name is Dave Bellman. I'm a former Mount Diablo Unified School District student and an educator in Contra Costa County for nearly 20 years. But tonight I'm here as a parent of 2 children, one who currently attends Bancroft Elementary School and another who will in a few years. And I'm here to add my voice to the nearly 90 written comments that you received that I'm sure you will read about the urgent need to expand the Diana Dare Child Care Center at Bancroft, and to ask that the district prioritize and actively support this process. Over the past decade alone, Bancroft has added more than 160 students, roughly a 30% increase. That's like adding an additional small elementary school onto the campus. Yet, during that period, the size and capacity of Diana Dare Center has remained unchanged. The wait list is enormous. Families remain on it for years, and most never receive care. Increasingly, families don't even join the wait list because they know if they don't get in during TK or kindergarten, they never will. And this year, for the first time, even younger siblings of children already enrolled in the center cannot be guaranteed care. It was heartbreaking to tell our child, who attends Diana Dare, that his brother might not get to go to daycare with him, not to mention the stress that it put on us as parents. To say that the current capacity of the center cannot meet the needs of the school community is an understatement, which has real consequences, forcing families into really difficult choices. Some parents have had to reduce work hours. Others leave jobs entirely because they can't secure care. And I want to recognize a really clear equity issue here as well. As is often the case, this burden falls disproportionately on women, and it's not theoretical. It's happening now. It's happening in our district, in our school community. Diana Dare is an exceptional program. Children are well cared for, supported, engaged. The relationships build their strengthen the students' sense of belonging and their learning at school. All families who need it deserve access to this care. The good news, as you know, I'm sure from the written comments, is there's a real and immediate solution. Under the leadership of Mrs. Stephanie Lee, Diana Dare has identified an unused modular building that's ready to be relocated to Bancroft to expand capacity now. I appreciate the district has completed a facilities review, and the request is now moving forward to educational services, who I hope will recognize the strong programmatic benefits of expansion and determine any impact on instructional programs would be minimal. So what I want to emphasize is simple. The need for childcare is real, it's documented, it's already affecting families, and the need to prioritize and expedite this expansion is immediate. So my ask is simple and straightforward. Prioritize this request. Move it forward with the urgency it needs and deserves. Actively support aligning the childcare capacity with the needs of Bancroft families and children. When schools grow, the systems that support families must grow with them, and I hope the district will act accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Suzanne Yahiro Leibowitz.
Hello, good evening. I'm Suzanne Leibowitz, and I'm here to speak for the expansion of Diana Dare Daycare at Bancroft Elementary School. I've been a Bancroft and Diana Dare mom for over a decade. Between my 3 children, this is my 12th and final year at Diana Dare. And I've, through the years, seen tremendous growth of not only Bancroft, but of Diana Dare. Accommodating students in the aftercare program was always an issue, but never like we're seeing now. As a working parent, I would never have been able to keep my work schedule had it not been for Diana Dare. As a medical professional, I've always admired the safety and care provided at the facility, especially during COVID when all 3 of my children were there full time and nobody got sick. As a mother, there's nothing better than knowing when I drop them off in the morning, they're well cared for. They interact with the staff, with their peers, they get assistance with homework, and stay physically active after school. Diana Dare has been more than just a daycare for my children and family. They've helped raise my 3 children, and they've seen them through different stages of their development. They know when they need extra help or support. They recognize when they are stressed or having a hard day. They greet them by name and give high fives. Their summer programming is more like a camp than a daycare. During the year, they play games and sports, and through the years, like every Diana Dare parent can attest, we've gotten yelled at numerous times for picking them up too early. As our school continues to grow, there's a tremendous need for a Diana Dare to be able to accommodate more students. This is a school and a community need. Since Diana Dare is on the school campus, the children can easily get from school to aftercare. They can even participate in after-school enrichment programs and walk to Diana Dare after. It gives the children a sense of independence and stability that they need. It is unfortunate that not every family has the same opportunity we had to be a part of this amazing community. We have the staffing and resources willing to accommodate more students, and we now need the support of the district to help facilitate. Diana Dare has given my children the safety, support, and stability they've needed through their adolescence. We've now come full circle when my oldest child, now 16 and in high school, can drive to pick up his younger brother at Diana Dare, and he still gets greeted with the same warmth and affection that he did when he was a preschooler there. I will forever be grateful to Miss Stephanie Lee and to the staff who's played such an important part of our family's lives. And I dread the day in June when I do my last pickup.
Thank you. Stephanie Lee.
Hello.
And support system, I see.
Good evening, Dr. Clark, members of the board. My name is Mrs. Lee, Stephanie. I am the Executive Director of Diana Dare Care and the Site Director located on the campus of Bancroft Elementary School. I recently celebrated my 19th year as Site Director at Bancroft and 24 years serving families within the Mount Diablo Unified School District. I am also a former district parent. 4 of my children graduated from MD USD schools. And in a couple of years, my granddaughter will be an incoming TK. This district is not only where I work, it's my community. There's been a great deal of public comment today and this evening regarding to the need of expanded childcare at Bancroft. And I appreciate their voices, but I'd like to use my time to clarify a few points and provide important context. The dual immersion program at Bancroft began roughly in 2014 with 2 kindergarten classrooms and has continued to grow steadily since then. As the campus expanded, enrollment nearly doubled. However, childcare space did not expand alongside the schools. Over the years, I've repeatedly requested an expansion of Diana Dare. Around 2019, I met with district and maintenance operations, staff, architects, along with our principal and PFC president to review the site plans. At that time, it was confirmed there were no fire lane restrictions preventing expansion. That was one reason for denial at that time. And then COVID hit. Now, nearly over 5 years later, we're serving even more students. In addition to the 2 TK classes and an influx of children from the COVID, a baby boom. I know you guys all feel that with your TK classes along the district. This year alone, I have 40 incoming TK and kindergarten siblings, which receive priority, okay? There are also 100 school-age students who have been on my wait list for years, not including the additional 55 incoming TK and kinders that are not siblings. I'd like to thank the district facilities review team for meeting on site with us. That collaboration is very appreciated. However, since November, communication has been limited. I was informed on January 8th that the proposal has now been forwarded to Educational Services, and I'm seeking clarity on what that means, who's responsible for approval, and the expected timeline. The lack of clear communication has real consequences, as I'm currently turning families away just due to lack of space, despite documented need and strong community support. All I'm asking is for transparency, clear communication, and guidance on how we move forward. Whether this request is approved or denied, our families deserve clarity. Our children deserve access to quality care. I am 100% open at any time for conversation. I'm happy to join any team, etc., to make this happen. I also welcome any of you to come to my program. See me, meet me, come to my site, and I can answer any questions for you. To be clear, this expansion will be fully funded by Diana Dare. There is zero cost to the district. We also have an empty portable ready to be moved. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment. We'll be moving on to communications. District organizations at regular board meetings, a single spokesperson of each recognized district organization may make a board presentation. Items are limited to those which are informational. And we have Linda Ortiz.
Good evening, President Mason, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. My name is Linda Ortega. I'm the president of the Mount Diablo Education Association. I want to start off by saying Happy New Year, Feliz Año Nuevo to all of you. I'm looking forward to a time of collaboration between the district and Medea in 2026. With so much unrest in our country right now, I hope we can come together to support our students, educators, and communities. One area that I would like for us to collaborate is when the district is looking to recruit new site administrators, that they include the site educators in the decision-making process. In previous years, an interview panel consisted of all the stakeholders who would work directly with the new principal. I would like to know why this process has stopped. I believe when those who work in a school are involved in the discussions, that there is more buy-in when deciding who will be the next school principal. Many of my members have been asking why they cannot be part of the decision to hire their new school principal, as it has been a past practice. So I'm here this evening asking for this consideration moving forward. On another topic, as the days get colder, I would like to remind my friends in M&O the importance of maintaining functioning HVAC heating systems and cooling systems. The temperature in a classroom greatly affects the learning environment of our students. I also would like to acknowledge that the director of M&O and I have scheduled days to visit the three elementary school sites that have gone under renovations. After almost 2 years and a lot of patience on our students, our educators, and the community, it's nice to see that these projects are coming to an end. Finally, later in the agenda, you will be presented again with an item I had requested that you pulled last month. I want to acknowledge that I had the opportunity to sit down with your general counsel to discuss Medea's concerns. I appreciate the conversation and her willingness to listen and make some changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Clark?
Having dinner there, so. So our first resolution of the evening is Resolution 25 slash 26-42, provisional internship permits. We're going to do 3 of these tonight, but they're all similar. So I'll just read the first paragraph. Whereas the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing authorizes the issuance of a provisional internship permit, other known as a PIP, to employees who meet the minimum requirements and who require additional time to meet subject matter competence needed to enter an internship program. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Okay. Board members?
Motion to approve Board Resolution 25/26-42 for personnel with provisional internship permits.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by our student trustee, a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Barilla Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And we're waiting. The session error, I did. Mine says session error. Go back. Hmm. It's not doing it on, maybe it's coming up. Here's mine now. Mine's up there, but it's not showing up there. Hmm? Oh, so it's just going to take a long time? Oh, there it went. Okay. Maybe we'll just talk slower. Okay. Now 10.2, was that for all of those or?
No,
we're
I'm
going
gonna
one
do each
by-
one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna do each one. Two more. Ready for the next?
Yep.
All right, I didn't see the screen change. So, Madam President, I bring before the Board of Education this evening, Resolution 25/26-43, and this is for variable term waivers, and we have one individual seeking that. I leave this resolution now in the hands of the board.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Second. Second, sorry about that.
We have a motion by trustee Mayor, a second by trustee McDougal.
My screen jumped to 10.3. We're on 10.2.
Mine went on to 10.3. Did yours jump to 10.3 too? Okay. Do we have like a gremlin in the building tonight or something? Yeah. Mine don't even want to log out. It's do, okay, let me see. Let me see. Let me see if I can do it this way. Okay. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Joining meeting. Oh, we got the same thing, scrolling pictures, huh? Yeah, mine looks just, ours is just scrolling pictures right now. Oh, there we go. Let's see what happens now. We're still on 10.3. We're on 10.3 on here too. And you're still scrolling. I'm getting ready to. Should we do voice vote?
We're trying to work it out.
Yes, we're gonna go back to the old fashioned way.
Okay.
All right. I'm so tired. System, I'm telling you, I'm just like agenda online.
Okay. Trustee Barrera Oriana,
Yes.
trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence.
Yes.
Trustee McDougal,
Yes.
trustee Nzewi.
Yes.
Trustee Nation is a yes. We're good.
Great. Madam President, I bring before you item 10.3, which is resolution 25-26, 25/26-44 to authorize local assignment options, Education Code 44263, and we have one individual. I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you. Need a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve resolution 25/26-44, local assignment option, EC 44263.
Second.
Motion by McDougal, got a second by trustee Lawrence. It's up here again. We can see if it works. We'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll do a voice vote. Literally a couple minutes.
Maybe we just roll through the resolutions. Those aren't heavy duty things.
Probably not too controversial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just roll through the
So
resolution.
trustee Barrera Oriana,
Yes.
trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Nzewi,
Yes.
trustee McDougal.
Yes.
Trustee Mason is a yes. All right. 10.4.
All right. Skip my agenda. Review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-45 in recognition of National School Counseling Week. Very excited about this one. In recognition of National School Counseling Week, whereas school counselors in their service to students and school communities bring a unique combination of skills, knowledge, and expertise in the interrelated areas of educational development, social emotional well-being, college and career readiness, aptitude analysis, relationship building, trauma response, community partnerships, and much, much more. Whereas school counselors play a role in ensuring that students are prepared for the future, including awarenesses of college and career pathways, scholarship opportunities, and financial aid strategies. Now, therefore, be it resolved, with due appreciation, the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby proclaims and recognizes February 2nd through 6th, 2026 as National School Counseling Week, highlighting the theme, Counselors Amplify Student Success. So please, everyone, thank your counselors all the time, but especially during February 2nd through 6th. Madam President, this resolution is in the hand of the board.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move that the board approve Resolution 25/26-45 in recognition of National School Counseling Week.
Second.
You second? Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee McDougal. Are we gonna try this?
No, we're just gonna keep rolling.
It's got it up here. Let's see if the little box comes up. While we think about how appreciative we are of our counselors, right, Dr. Clark? Okay. Still not up. Okay. Trustee Barrero Oriana?
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, it came up? Not for me, for one person. Okay. Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Zawi,
Yes.
trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Did you get to vote both ways?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Trustee Mason is
Vote
a.
early and often.
Okay, so that passed.
Yeah, so Madam President, I now bring before you review and potential approval of Board Resolution 25/26-46, authorizing the replacement of the lease counterparty in connection with the execution, delivery, and sale of certificates of participation. And we have our CBO, Adrian Vargas, to present this item. Mr. Vargas.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. So I will just summarize the resolution. So during the due diligence process, because we are about to go out to market to issue out the COPs, it was discovered that the financing corporation was not in good standing with the Franchise Tax Board. So our bond counsel is working on that. However, it will take time to do that, and there is no timetable. It could be a day, it could be a week when Franchise Tax Board gets back to us, so we can figure out what needs to be filed. So we don't delay the issuance, because if you remember when we presented the market to go out is in this month. This resolution would replace the MDUSD Financing Corporation with the Public Property Financing Corporation of California, and the impact would be up to about $5,000 to replace them. And I just received their resolution yesterday, so their board has approved it. So that's what the resolution basically will do for Mount Diablo and their certificate of participation issuance. So I'm here to answer any questions regarding this.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for?
I do have one.
Go ahead.
I understand what you explained. If you are able to clear it with the tax board before we have to sell the bonds, will we incur the fees if we do it
If we do not use the Public Financing Corp, then we would not incur the fees because we would be using the MDUSD.
Okay.
But
So
just-
this is an alternate in the event we should have to.
Correct.
Okay.
And I will say, just to put a timeline on it, I mean, we are looking at I believe the first or the last week of January, first week of February. or the issuance.
Right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I move to amend resolution, this resolution by adding, inserting section 2 effective date, saying this resolution shall take effect from and after the date of its passage and adoption and be effective for a period of 1 year from the date hereof. And I move the board adopt resolution 25/26-46 as amended.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee McDougal. We're going to see if this comes up. In the meantime, trustee Barrero Oriana,
Yes.
you're so lucky you don't have to mess with this. Okay. We'll give it a second.
Voice vote, yeah. Voice vote, yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Lawrence,
Yes.
trustee Azali,
Yes.
trustee McDougal,
Yes.
trustee Mason is a yes. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vargas. All right, Madam President, I bring for you item 10.6, and this is resolution 25/26-47 in recognition of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is January 19th, 2026. Whereas in 1964, Dr. King received the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo, Norway, for his dynamic leadership of the civil rights movement and steadfast commitment to achieving racial justice through nonviolent action. He pledged the prize money to the movement continued. He pledged the prize money to the movement's continued development. At the age of 35, Dr. King became the youngest man and only the second African American to receive this prestigious award. Whereas we proudly follow Dr. King's legacy by exhibiting cultural competency, reflexivity, and humility, and celebrating our diversity with events within the Mount Diablo Unified School District. So now therefore be it resolved that the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby calls upon everyone to observe this day by actively participating in civic, community, and service projects in honor of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which would have been his 97th birthday, and his contribution to civil rights, equity, and peace. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you. I was going to say, any comments? There you go.
I move to approve resolution 25/26-47 in recognition of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
I'll second.
I haven't shared this in a few years, but when I first moved here, when my child was in the 5th grade, there was no mention of Martin Luther King at school. Nowhere, not at any time of the year. But I'm confident that things have changed as this board has changed the culture of our district. But I wanted to share an excerpt from one of his favorite speeches of mine. I encourage you to go online and find a YouTube video of it. It's titled, if you do MLK, Where Do We Go From Here? But he said, even semantics have conspired to make that which is black seem ugly and degrading. In Roget's thesaurus, there are some 120 synonyms for blackness, and at least 60 of them are offensive, such as words as blot, soot, grim, devil, foul. And there are some 134 synonyms for whiteness, and all are favorable, expressed in such words as purity, cleanliness, chastity, and innocence. A white lie is better than a black lie. The most degenerate member of a family is the black sheep. Ozzie Davis has suggested that maybe the English language should be reconstructed so that teachers will not be forced to teach the Negro child 60 ways to despise himself and thereby perpetuate his false sense of inferiority, and the white child 134 ways to adore himself and thereby perpetuate his false sense of superiority. The tendency to ignore the Negro's contribution to American life and strip him of his personhood is as old as the earliest history books and as contemporary as the morning's newspaper. To offset this cultural homicide, the Negro must rise up with an affirmation of his own Olympian manhood. Any movement for the Negro's freedom that overlooks this necessity is only waiting to be buried. As long as the mind is enslaved, the body can never be free. Psychological freedom, a firm sense of self-esteem, is the most powerful weapon against the long night of physical slavery. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation, no Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can totally bring this kind of freedom. The Negro will only be free when he reaches down to the inner depths of his own being and signs with the pen and ink of assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. And with a spirit straining toward true self-esteem, the Negro must boldly throw off the manacles of self-abnegation and say to himself and to the world, I am somebody, I am a person, I am a man with dignity and honor, I have a rich and noble history, however painful and exploited that history has been. Yes, I was a slave through my foreparents, and now I'm not ashamed of that. I'm ashamed of the people who were so sinful to make me a slave. Yes, we must stand up and say, I'm Black, but I'm Black and beautiful. This self-affirmation is the Black man's need, made compelling by the white man's crimes against him. And why I was compelled to share this is I feel like, I know many of us feel like we have survived a year, like we made it to today. And in a year where the teachings and um, oh gosh, I can't think of the word, the movement and power of Dr. Martin Luther King, um, some people try to use his words um, against Black people and against the progress that had been made in this country until a year ago, and use it to try and move back with these Lincolnian Emancipation and Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill. And our children hear that, and they hear the erasure of history if they have to be an NPR backseat listener when they're young. And so the importance of affirmation and this affirmation, but it doesn't even matter. I'm Black and I'm beautiful. I just want to make sure that our community understands that, and that in our school district, we affirm that to our Black students, staff, and families.
Thank you. And you would be glad to know, in 1972, at Pacifica High School, we walked off the campus on his birthday in protest that it was not a national holiday. So some of the district,
Blazers.
the district was paying attention. So well, now, and the second was I noticed you didn't have it here, was by our student trustee. So we're going to go ahead and do a voice vote so we can get, and then when we have our presentation, oh, maybe not. Wait. It came up. I think, are we good? Oh, it worked. Thank you for your comment. It let the system catch up with us, and it was very heartfelt. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to reports and information. Looking forward to this one.
This will be exciting. So I just want to let the board know that I eat, sleep, and drink Mount Diablo. But when we have to do the voice votes, that means that Laura has to replay the tapes. And so I'm in my office and I'm hearing the meeting and replaying it. And I think I'm dreaming. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? I've already lived this. And so Laura, we're gonna invest in Laura having some headphones when she has to replay the meetings. So, we're very excited to have first of all, just to have two of our high school principals here in the audience. All educational positions are difficult, are challenging, but the high school principal position is one that I have a great deal of respect for. And so I really honor these two folks who are both parents. And so as already they work 6 nights a week, you know, with sports and plays and elective nights and when teams make the playoffs, they have Saturday games and things like that. So I don't bring them out to board meetings just for anything. And so I'm very appreciative that these two are coming out. But California law, we're going to have to come up with a cell phone policy by July. And a few years ago, one of our schools, Olympic High School, really took on their own to find ways that they can engage their students more. And in doing that, they found that a huge barrier to that engagement was the use of cell phones on campus. So this is not a commercial or an endorsement for Yonder in any way, but this is one method to get students to engage in what is taking place on school campuses. And students are not just learning in the classroom. Students are learning on the way to school, they're learning between classes, they're learning during brunch and lunch and during activities and things like that. And so what this does is allow students to be engaged the entire time that they're in high school. And we're going to find out how it went over at College Park and at Northgate High School because it's already successfully gone over at Olympic, at Prospects, at Mount Diablo High School, and at Ignacio Valley High School. But this year we rolled it out at College Park, Northgate, and Concord High. So without any further ado, I have Kelly Cooper and Dr. Ronnie Richardson.
All right. Hello, trustees, presidents. I am Kelly Cooper. I'm the principal at Northgate High School.
Good evening, Dr. Clark, our amazing superintendent, our amazing board of trustees. I'm Dr. Richardson, principal at College Park.
All right. So we are really proud and honored to present to you tonight our experience with Yonder this year, both of us in our pilot years. So if we can go to the next slide, I'll just tell you briefly about Northgate's. I do something. Here I go. Hey. All right. Thank you. I'll tell you briefly about Northgate's journey with cell phones. So in 23 and 24, we recognized a need to manage cell phones even more greatly after coming back from COVID and realizing that our students were unfortunately really profuse users of their cell phones. So we started with optional cell phone spas in the classroom. I bought spas for every teacher that wanted to pilot that. And the word at staff meetings when they discussed their experience was that it was just a game changer, that it really did change what they experienced in the classroom for both the students and for themselves. So the next year I bought spas for every single classroom and we tried to make that a school-wide policy. However, teachers had a varied level of implementation. Some of them didn't want to get into the power struggle. A lot of them had issues with where the spa would exist and whether or not a phone might get stolen and having that fear of risk, et cetera. And they were just, it wasn't the perfect solution, but it was one that they could feel the tangible difference. So we were able to go visit Mount Diablo. We visited Olympic High School and take a look at how their Yonder policies rolled out. And then we did a steady rollout of information to our community. We sought feedback from our teachers, our parents. We let them know what the Yonder program was like, and we let them know that this was coming. And so that way, we piloted Yonder at summer school. We weren't able to host summer school this year. We had a beautiful makeover at Northgate, and so we weren't able to host, but we did host at Concord High, and we were able to pilot the Yonder program, and then we fully implemented from the first day of school. And so you'll see very soon how that's been. And then after implementation, I went back and I surveyed our students and went back and surveyed our staff to find out how that's been going. And then I'll
Thank you, Kelly. First of all, good evening, everyone. One of the things I want to acknowledge is around Yonder. It's about human connection. And it wasn't about taking cell phones away from our scholars. It's how our scholars connecting human to human. I was fortunate to and honored to, as I was appointed principal of College Park on June 12th. I started. It was on. I think it was on the 13th, but on the 11th, on the 12th, I started in summer school, and I was able to observe Yonder on campus and in summer school when we piloted it. So that's where I came in and I was able to, it was amazing to see how the students were engaging. However, there was some hesitance. So I was able to talk to scholars and say, hey, what's your thoughts? What's the pros and cons? So I was able to hear the scholars on how they're feeling about Yonder. As I navigated, as we got to to the school year, the the number one the number one challenge is getting students to understand that it wasn't taking their cell phones away. And the presentations in August, I think, were so powerful, where we had our full Yonder policy implementation, where again we engaged all stakeholders with parents and got a lot of student voice. I know in the summer, I want to give my absolute shout out to Marple, Miss Marple, who did a great job as summer school principal, who was a principal who was monitoring that, and it was amazing. I was able to see that. Now, going back to August, it was so important that we engaged with our students to help them understand the reasons why Yonder is going to be implemented. And I thought that was so important that students were able to share their voice, but also sharing the rationale and why. September 25th and December 5th, we've seen some amazing, and you'll see in our next slides, you'll see some amazing, just some just amazing evidence around how our students are navigating our campus. We'll go to the next slide, and we'll go on the impact. Oh, yes.
All right. So in talking with our students, I separated them out by grade level. And of course, I received very different answers when I talked to my freshmen versus my seniors and how this rolled out for them. So I tried to, select just a few of the quotes and keep it very real so that I represent my students accurately, because it's not necessarily their 100% favorite policy. I had a lot of reluctant adopters, meaning that they acknowledge that they are more engaged and more focused in class, but they don't really like not having their phone around when they want it, right? And so my favorite quote on here is the top right, where this student acknowledged that they feel more focused and have a stronger connection to people. And this is my favorite part. I feel more comfortable in making conversations with people because they aren't so connected to their phones. Even in real life, outside of school, I'm more comfortable to talk to strangers because I'm not so connected on the phone. And that's one of those intangibles that we've noticed all around campus, is that our students are in conversation. I can't wait to show you some photos of what lunch looks like, but it is definitely a different feel all around, whether it's in class or outside of class. And then the third point, the one on the bottom right, kind of was an interesting point because it was a theme throughout, especially with my older kids, which was they felt a rebound effect. They didn't have their phone all day, so they found that they were spending more time on their phone when they got home. So they were angry about that. I had to catch up on TikTok, and it took an hour.
And our Falcons are soaring with Yonder. And one of the things, this is our wellness center. And I want to highlight our wellness center. That's one of the spaces where our kids get to gather to talk around and have conversations. And one of my favorite quotes is one of our English language learners. And it's amazing just to hear her experience with Yonder. At first, she didn't like it, but she said, I really appreciate having Yonder as an English language learner coming from South America. I used to use my cell phone for translation. Now I can't do that at school. So I'm forced to communicate with my peers. Now that she has that opportunity and navigating and communicating, she feels that her English has improved. And we can look at some of the data to show that how Amanda has improved. So that was amazing. And I think it's so important, again, that we're so intentional around and asking our scholars how they're feeling about Yonder. But as you can see, and we'll go to the next slide on how it's impacted our whole campus and some of the pros and cons, because I'll say our ninth grade scholars, our 10th grade scholars, our 11th grade scholars, our 12th grade scholars have a different experience. Our seniors don't like so much. They can't wait to graduate to get their cell phones back. However, however, I always say, welcome to the 90s. And I just want to, if you look at these quotes, it's just amazing just to hear student voice, but I also want to acknowledge that our kids are connected to their cell phones, and it was hard for the transition. So we're very intentional around helping them understand the rationale, but scholars they're loving it for the most part. Even our seniors, for the most part. There you go. Oh, pros and cons. I do walkthroughs. We're focusing the focus in class is amazing. We really could focus now on our instructional goals and really having more academic discourse in the classroom. That's the number one thing that I see when I'm doing walkthroughs. no disruptions in class, right? So those are the pros, right? And teachers get to engage with our scholars more. Now the cons, again, I can't communicate. I can't text during lunch to say, meet me by the quad or meet me by the baseball field where you're not supposed to be, by the way. So as you see, it's harder to communicate with friends. But what I do love, going back to the pros, when you walk on our campus and you see our scholars in the quad, they're conversating. Are they playing dominoes in the wellness center? Are they playing games? So again, I think the pros overweigh the cons, but I think it's also important that we talk to our scholars about the cons, and the pros really outweigh the cons. Kelly. Oh, teacher voice. My turn. So I really wanna. Oh yeah, thank you, Dr. Clark. I really want to emphasize on this is allowing us as instructional leaders to really focus on making sure our students are meeting their academic goals, and really being able to teach. And my favorite one, it's easier to build relationships with students when technology isn't consistently competing for their attention. Yonder has helped reinforce consistent expectations across campus, which benefits both students and staff. So teachers are amazed about that, and just acknowledging what's going on in the world. We really have an opportunity not to just focus on our academics, but also SEL and addressing, homophobia, xenophobia, racial epithets being used on campus, and also thank you for the reminder. And also that how students navigate on their cell phones when they're in class, so no interruptions. I wouldn't say no, but least not not that many interruptions.
All right. So my teacher voice at Northgate was very, very positive. And so one of my favorite quotes from that is that the bottom left, this is somebody that tried the phone spas and loved it, but didn't fully love it because of the way that students would try to sneak around it. So she mentions, or he, students are present and engaged in my class in a totally different way from years past. I absolutely love how we connect with each other and the content, and not having to monitor the students who would sneak their phone from their daycare pockets makes my life so much easier, is how that quote ends. So that my teachers really, really do notice the difference in their classrooms, and that's really important. So the student learning, the engagement, and the conversation that occurs is priceless. So some of our teacher pros, and cons, the teacher pros, the student engagement, obviously, not having those power struggles with students over their phones. The student discussion and conversation has been richer and the quicker to engage in them. And so their collaborative seating really works. Having the admin able to be really supportive and involved. The students in general are less riled up over what's going on social media. They don't see it, so they don't get upset at lunch, et cetera, and have the conflicts that once were there. And then what was interesting as a side effect was that they're getting better at checking their emails, and especially senior year, that's what they need to be doing. They need to be checking their emails and things like that. So they've noticed that they're better about engaging in a more adult way. And being responsible in that way. Some of the cons, of course, we ask for yonder checks at the beginning of the day so that we can have full implementation, and sometimes that can take time from class depending on the teacher's style of yonder checking. Student anxiety, if a student doesn't feel comfortable in a situation, sometimes that phone is a buffer. That's true for adults too, and removing that buffer can increase their feelings of anxiety. Oh no, I actually have to try to talk to somebody, or not at all. And then of course, students working around the system, we're working on that all the time. How do we talk to our students about the why? How do we work with parents, et cetera? And then the past practice was students would take photos of their assignments to submit on Google Classroom, and so that's a little bit of a barrier, but the Chromebooks have cameras, so there are ways around it, but it was noted in the conversation.
Discipline data, I think this is so important to highlight. There's less incidences happening on campus that are, acts of willful force or 48900K. And as you can see in 2024, 2025 school year, we had 54 suspension under that ed code violation. This year, it's been 9. And it hasn't. When you see those ed codes, when you intervene, it's not what it seems, but you do have to code it. But 0 suspension for engaging in bullying. Cyberbullying is very minimal. But not to say it doesn't happen before school or after school, but we're able to intervene more effectively, and it doesn't take away from the day when students are in class and they're engaging in their social media platforms. So I want to say that this is a huge data point for me and the lived experience walking on our campus, that it's peaceful. Um,
Quick clarifying question. Is this the same period of time or is this a full year versus a half year?
oh, this is the full year.
Okay.
Yes. And now this is up to this
Right.
date on 2000 for this date for 2024 to 2025 school year. There's a typo on that.
25, I
Yeah,
presumed it was
yeah, so that
25 to
should-
26.
that should
What I'm
be-
wondering is for the one above, is that the entire school year or was that the first half of the school year to be comparable with the one below?
Oh, that was the entire school year last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So but this year, this is up to this date now on our infractions.
All right. And I do want to note, we completely understand that correlation is not causation. We know that there are multiple things. We approach all of these things in a lot of ways. It's not just Yonder Pouches, but of course our campus culture and the things that we're working on, our wellness centers, et cetera. But these are strong.
Just Dr. Richardson should take credit for that. I mean, you're the new principal there and you cut suspensions. Like, look what you've done. It's not the Yonder Pouches. Isn't this your leadership?
Right.
Right.
100%. And that's a big deal. Absolutely. But on that note, we do need to look at these things and look at all the contributing factors. So for us, I looked at specifically in electronic means, engaging in bullying by electronic means, and we reduced I did mine from this time period and last year and this time period this year, the same number of months, and it's been reduced by 50%. And then the harass, threaten, intimidate peoples and employees, that also has dropped 33%. So that was big, but I was actually really excited about our academic data. So from time period to time period, so this past semester that just occurred, I looked at the class of 2027, the same students, and saw that their average GPA rose from 3.57 to 3.79. And then the class of 2028, that's my current sophomores, they also had a big lift. And then today I looked at GPA improvement from spring to fall, and 17% of our students raised their GPA by 0.5 or better from spring to fall. And so that's a big data point that I want to highlight. School culture wise, if you walk away, I invite you to please come on campus. We would love to have you. But if you walk around campus, what you'll see is students talking. You'll see students laughing. The first thing I noticed, if you've been in Northgate, you know that we're an indoor school. It was so loud. The kids were so loud in the hallways. And so at first I was wondering what was happening. And then I go out there and they're just laughing and talking and having real conversations. And that was a lot of fun. The top middle photo is our wellness center. Kids are reading together. They're doing mindful coloring. They're talking. The left photo is one I'm proud of because I was invited into a game of Uno. I never won those rounds ever once. And so I'm not sure I'll be invited back or if I will, because I clearly am not great at Uno, but it was a lot of fun to play with my seniors. And that's what they're doing. They're talking, they're playing, they're laughing, and finding ways to engage at school.
Thank you, Kelly. School culture shifts at College Park. It's been amazing. As you can see in the photos, we have our music program. It's amazing. We have our school rallies. You know, students aren't on their phones, or rather, they're focused and they're participating. We had our dog therapy a day. Was great that students were engaging with their, and this is led by our wellness center social worker, Miss Marcella. It was an amazing day. On the left side to the bottom, that was the Yonder presentations that I was giving to our scholars to explain the rationale behind why we're implementing Yonder. And then we have our wellness center, and I want to add what Dr. Clark was saying around. There's been a huge push around restorative practices on our campuses on how we resolve, and it's not waiting for something negative to happen. It's part of the culture around that. We want to make sure that this is a part of our culture, that we're not waiting for harm to cause the community, that we're actually engaging in conversation and those restorative practices before something happens. So bringing awareness. So school culture and watching the students, and whether they be in class, at lunch, or in a presentation, or at a rally, or in the wellness center, these are places when you walk on our campus, you will see just the happiness, and scholars are loving the conversations. Now, if you navigate our campus, there's a hot spot over there by the garden, and kids are sitting down there conversating, picking oranges off the lemon tree, or the orange tree. So it's it's an orange tree. But it's amazing. So again, I do invite you all to many of you have been on our campus, but I invite you to come and engage with our scholars and ask them on how it's going, and it's been going amazing. So That's some of the lived experience as the principal. And I definitely want to reiterate, it's not just about the yonder. It's around building positive relationships, but also the restorative practices that we bring, but also inclusivity, right? I think it's so important that we do emphasize it's the adults engaging with our students with the effect of yonder. So it's not just the yonder pouches. So we have resources on the next one. So we both have resources that you can connect to on this, the things we send out to our families and to our students. And then of course with policy. And that concludes our presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been hearing about this.
Well, of our parents.
Very positive report. You know, if you listen to some people, they thought it was going to be Armageddon or some sort of a terrible thing happening, but this is a positive report. This is working. This is going back to when I went to high school. We used to talk to people, and I don't want to say when that was, but you know, it's something where I think the kids have to get used to getting away from the electronics because the electronics are actually isolating them more than it should be. And we're getting mental health problems, I think, because of this. And so this is a good thing to see. I'm glad to hear this good report.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first year with the Yonders, first year piloting in my school. But when I first saw it, I was a bit resistant, as well as some of my friends' strong resistance. You know, as we're seniors, we're like, well, it's time for us to move on with our phones and stuff. But I think seeing this GPA boost is really impressive to see how this program is actually working and impacting our students in a positive way.
I did people don't know. So Dr. Richardson, you say the word scholars a lot, and I don't know how much you know your students make fun of you for that. But they love it at the same time. They what do you say in the morning? Hello, scholar. Like over when you do announcements.
morning.
Good morning, and scholars. And whenever your newsletter comes each week, younger backs, I hear my child's like, "Oh, what is he saying now?" Scholars. But you have created a culture and the putting away of the phones has contributed to the culture of relationship building and these students being able to make fun of you, but in a way of like they like you and appreciate you. And it's a huge shift that's happened. I think a data point that you could both do that could be kind of fun because a complaint that my child has of it, besides the people, one of the cons or one of the challenges was how people try and get around it and stuff. And she sees people getting around it and she's like, that's why we don't have cell phones now because you did this. But a data point that she had at the end of the year was how many fewer minutes she listened to Spotify this year, which to her was a very bad. Music is life for my child, but she was able to analyze and attribute it to not being able to listen to it at school. But I think that would be a fun, like for your students, they would love to report that to you either in frustration or just fun.
A question for Principal Cooper, since you have the comparison year over year, is just with the spas where I think they were often used by teachers like for check-in for attendance and things like that. But then students had the flexibility of at break and at lunch using the phones, and just what you saw as pros and cons kind of between that and the yonder pouches where it's for the day.
Yeah, what I saw with this phone spa was really, I mean, it was, I don't want to say minimal implementation, but it was definitely a stark difference between the classes that did and the classes that didn't. And so while some students got used to putting their phones in the spa and would mostly comply, it wasn't 100%. And for those teachers who um, really kept getting in power struggles, it was a draining part of their day. And what I noticed, if you notice, one of the student comments was teachers don't have to battle the cell phones anymore. That came from a student. So when, a teacher had to address cell phone use, stop class and address cell phone use in class, that doesn't happen anymore. So even if our students are trying to get around the pouches in their sneaky ways. And, 9 times out of 10, we'll figure that one out. Their phones aren't out because it's like, it sticks out like a sore thumb now. So that's the whole goal, is to not have phones out. Whereas having the spas didn't do that for us at all. The difference at breaks, and I failed to mention, our club participation this year has exponentially increased. There was a picture in my student culture slides of our Swedish club. The room was packed. Everybody had their hand raised, but we have 105 clubs this year. That was an increase of 12. And so just having students engage in school life while they're at school, that part didn't happen with the phone spas. And then there were, the little inconvenience of the phone spas, like I mentioned, the risk of theft or the risk of them coming down. We don't have real walls in every classroom at Northgate. Some of them are temporary walls, like kind of that one. And so they wouldn't stay up on the walls. So a couple of classrooms, the whole thing would come tumbling down. So this way we keep those very expensive devices safe and in a nice little cushion pouch.
And then could you speak, because I see it within my own household, the divide of perhaps younger students and older, like just different perspectives from freshmen versus seniors, or any other things that you're seeing for both of you, just differences by class?
Yeah, I think our ninth grade scholars are more receptive, and our 10th and 11th, and our seniors are like, wow, I can't wait to go to college, or I can't wait to graduate. Because I can see our juniors and our seniors are not as receptive to it, because they're most of their years they were on their cell phones and they were allowed. But I think going back to what Kelly was saying around it, that Yonder is doing what it's doing. It's working exactly the way we want it, because students are pulling their phones out. But however, I do want to before I pass it on to you, Kelly, so you can respond. I think it's so important that we highlight that, and seeing why are our seniors so hesitant about it, because there are scholars trying to they'll put they'll put a burner phone in their pouch, or they'll hide it, and we do random Yonder checks, and we want to do it to where it's not humiliating, but we bring them to the office because we really want to touch them about integrity and also following the policy. However, but I would say that our juniors and seniors are not as receptive as our ninth graders and 10th graders. But I also think our ninth and 10th graders too are still trying to get used to it as well. But I'll pass it over to you for get your input.
What I know about new systems is that it's going to take several years before this is just what we do, right? So for our juniors and seniors, it's not what they've done in the past. It's not what they're used to. And our seniors especially are like, I can last for 180 days, I'm out. And so, but the freshmen, their comments in the survey were, we already couldn't have our phones in middle school. So this wasn't a big change for me. And then the sophomores were really the ones that were, indicating how focused and how receptive they felt in the classrooms, like what a big difference it was for them. I will say that I have a junior who is subject to the Yonder policy, who also has noted, even at home when she's trying to do her work, she will hand me her phone and say, I need to lock in. And so they recognize what might be their distractors. And so even though they're reluctant and want them on breaks and things like that. So I think that it'll take us a few years before it's really just, this is what we do and it's accepted, and everybody kind of sees all the benefits without the rage behind it. Give me my phone.
I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to both of you, to Dr. Clark's point of the demands on both of you already, and for you to come in. And Ms. Cooper, I think one of the last things I did in my previous term on the board was have you appointed as a principal, which was a very personal thing, and I'm just so grateful. Dr. Richardson, there's a certain board member who spends a lot of time bragging about you, mentioning that there were food trucks and a DJ at back to school night and things like that. But I actually had the pleasure of running into someone this weekend who her granddaughter is at College Park, and she just raved about the change in atmosphere this year. I happened to be on the campus last night for a quite exciting battle between College Park and Northgate JV basketball, which a certain player hit a shot with 5 seconds left for the go-ahead basket, but it was a great experience, and so thank you. Just personally wanted to say thank you to both of you for all your work and efforts.
Thank you both for all your leadership and all your commitment. Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Okay, that takes us to board reports. Who would like to start us off tonight with the board report? How about our student?
All right. Happy New Year. Some reports from the weeks before and today. Later this week, I'm going to meet with the Student Advisory Committee and work on a presentation for the board meeting next week about the strengths and weaknesses of our high schools from a student perspective. Then I am setting up a meeting with Mrs. McKinnon to talk about student recognition at Concord High School. But in light of recent news, I wanted to send a message to families in fear, but also to the entire community that you're not alone, that even with a drum of tyranny, an orchestra of hope can overcome it, that when we are united as a community, we are stronger.
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Looks excited.
I'll just, no,
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wait, we
did.
got a couple. We got, I
I know.
scared them. Okay, go ahead, trustee Mew.
Well, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and productive 2026. I hold out hope for our nation and our world during this chaotic time. America is a nation of immigrants, and unless you're an indigenous person, you are an immigrant. I applaud the accomplishments of immigrants and welcome them to my community. On January 8th, I attended the 8th grade career and technical education fair held at Riverview Middle School. I watched with profound pride as our high school students explained their programs to the 8th graders. Their teachers have trained them well, and their passion about their learning was evident. The trades and business partners were present also. Riverview Middle School, the counselors, the CTE staff, middle school teachers, and the transportation department are to be commended for this successful event. Last night, I attended the Special Education Community Advisory Committee meeting chaired by co-chair Nikki Mora. The presentation, Let Your Child Be Heard, Communication Strategies to Try at Home, will be posted on the CAC section of the Special Education webpage soon. Staffing, enrollment, dyslexia, bridge graduates, and mental health practices were shared by staff. It was recommended that members of our community read the recent PACE December 2025 report around education overhaul to better understand some of Governor Newsom's proposals for the future of California public education. The CAC committee is planning to add another event to their calendar this year. So please mark May 19th at 6 p.m. for their Spring Fling Idea Celebration event. The District Learner Advisory Committee meeting is tomorrow at 5:30 at Willow Creek Center, and also an observance in honor of Reverend Martin Luther King will be held at Concord High School at 6 p.m. on Thursday. So I hope to see you at these events. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Lawrence?
Yep. Happy New Year. I will thank my board members for their comments. A couple quick items. One, some people may have missed the news, but in December, the Trump administration announced the reinstitution of repayment of student loans. And personally, I believe that if you borrow money, there's an expectation that you should repay it. And I think it's just something that for students, for our families who are looking at college, which, as we know, college is incredibly expensive, and that I've seen families rack up huge amounts of debt when they go to college, and sometimes that they don't graduate or that they have a degree that is not very marketable in the workplace. And so I think that just our programs here in MDUSD, our College Now program, the AP classes, as well as the close ties with community college, as well as our public schools. So I would just encourage our families as they're making college decisions to keep that in mind and recognize the lifetime impact of some of those financial commitments. Secondly, on the college front, I wanted to make note of the fact, one of the superintendent's goals is around our test scores. In particular, I wanted to mention math scores because this is not simply a MDUSD thing, but UCSD. You may have seen some of the information around UCSD with the need for very remedial math. Some of which is even at an elementary level to help bring students up to speed. And they've seen a huge increase over the last 5 or 6 years in those numbers. And so it is not a MDUSD phenomenon, but it is something I think we have to look at very closely to help better prepare students. And there are often instances at UCSD and other schools where these are students with incredibly high GPAs who are graduating at the top of their class, and they're finding that they are not prepared for even some very basic math concepts. And then third is just the fact that, much like our student rep mentioned, I continue to hear from people in our community around fear of what is happening with federal immigration services, federal actions in our local communities. And I will just first state that I think it has been a bipartisan failure for many, many years around our immigration to have a secure, humane, and efficient immigration policy. I think that is a multi-year, multi-generational failure. But the fact that there is fear because we are seeing masked people in unmarked cars grabbing American citizens without due process, throwing them into these cars. It is creating fear. It is creating doubt. We are seeing just the amount of trauma that is being created. And I want to just thank our superintendent and administration for the thoughtfulness with which they have advised our students, our community, for our partnerships with our local law enforcement like Concord PD to keep our students and our families safe, to make sure that they know their rights. But this is an issue that I believe that we all need to speak out about, because we have to decide what type of America we want to live in and what we are willing to tolerate. So with that, thank you, President Mason.
Trustee Ziggy?
I just like to wish everyone a happy new year. And I'd like to honor Claudette Colvin, who died yesterday at the age of 86. And I think of her, why I want to say that is I feel like we have to unfortunately depend on our youth to show us the way, and that she at the age of 15 got arrested for not getting up off the bus, and of that, so 15, so all of us, if we can remember 15 and what we were doing at that time. But she said of that, my mindset was on freedom, so I was not going to move that day. I told them that history had me glued to that seat, and all of us not young people can take a lesson from her and the young people of our district to standing up for what's right always.
Trustee McDougal?
Okay. Excuse me. Going back to December, I met with a Jamie Mather, who was part of the Construction Trades Workplace Initiative, CTWI, whom I'd met at the November Parents Trade Night. And we discussed how we might take further advantage of his group in getting CTE internships for Mount Diablo. Preliminary discussions. We want to see how we can enhance our CTE programs through something like their offerings. On the 16th, I attended a budget advisory committee meeting, and there's a lot of good information that comes out in these meetings, but unfortunately, don't have enough participation from the members at the committee, and so they don't have a quorum and they can't vote. Possibly it's due to being close to Christmas on the 16th, so we'll hope for better attendance in the future. And then on the 8th of January, like several of our other board members, I attended the 8th grade fair at Riverview High School. Great number of exhibitors for middle school kids to visit with. It's not as big as the high school trade show of a similar kind, but something just as important. And I'd like to see us do this at more middle schools. I know budgeting is a problem there, but we also had a local elementary school participate in the one at Riverview. That was Shore Acres, because they could easily get to Riverview. So getting the fifth and sixth graders involved, I think, is very important as well. Not just the middle schoolers, but as early as possible, expose them to what is possible after they graduate from high school. And not making decisions about this in 11th or 12th grade, but knowing about it from, say, sixth grade on. Um, so I'd like to see more of this happening around the district, and then also inviting the local elementary schools to participate in this. And finally, on February 2nd, I will be holding my next town hall, and it will be at Concord Library, 6:45 for an hour. I'm inviting the parents of the students in Area 5 schools to attend. We're trying to get participation from the parents more so than we have in other town halls, but that'll be on February 2nd at 6:45 at the Concord Library. Thank you.
I'll just be brief and say that I think we're all aware of, we're kind of living in a different world than we expected to be in. And so right or wrong, the way I deal with that is to surround myself with the things that bring me joy and that I can affect. So I went to every holiday celebration that there was at the schools and saw our elementary kids. Amazing crowd that showed up at Riverview Middle School to see all of our kids play instruments and sing and have a good time. I promised you guys last year that my white husband was going to enter the Pozzoli contest at Shore Acres, and bravely he did. Was a little sad he didn't place, but it was an amazing soup. It was. He did a good job, and he's going to go back and try again next year. Had the pleasure of going to DVC with Dr. Clark and Trustee Nzewi and listening to some of our young scholars that are going to be our world leaders tomorrow, which give me hope. And they presented some policies, suggestions to us, and took feedback from us, which was very uplifting for me. And then went to the career day at Riverview Middle School, and it was so good to see this year. They had our high school kids in front of the tables drawing into younger kids, which you could just feel it was so positive. The kids were engaged. I promised to try to find them funding to be able to bus all the elementary kids from our area over there next year. So it just looked like it was, and not school board funding, by the way. I'll get county funding for that. It was a very well accepted event. That even the presenters were impressed with our kids, as I was, and always proud of them. And then attended a parent meeting last night where it was freezing cold, dark, but there was still a handful of parents that showed up at Riverview Middle School to support our kids. So again, I tend to pull in and closer to home where I can make a bigger difference and where I can bring joy and get joy for my community. And that is my report for tonight, Dr. Clark.
Thank you so much, President Mason. I have a few slides just to kind of keep me on track here, because just a lot going on. Definitely, we are extremely excited to be back at school. The winter break was nice, but the place that I think is best for our students to be is when they're at our schools, and so really appreciate the opportunity. You know, I share these goals before every meeting, and our principals and our staff, our district staff, they share these goals, and it's not just words on paper, because what Trustee Nzewi said about her daughter's experience is really the experience that many students who aren't of the the dominant culture, or whatever that may be, they feel in schools, and our district and our schools are not immune to that. So I really think that these words here, they mean something if you really read them, But I don't want us to be a district where we just slap some words on the wall. I want us to actually live it through and through, and that they really mean something. And so that all students, that means everything to me. All students. We are here for all students, regardless of whatever. If they walk into our doors, they are ours. And that is what I most appreciate each and every day. So we have our goal around our students, we have our goal around our staff, we have our goal around our communities, and then we get specific with our students who need extra support and who historically have not met the standards that we have set within our district. And then lastly, we have our goals where we're targeting a few of our schools and programs. So very, very proud of those goals. And we're going to continue to do the work with the state. We are under direct assistance from our county and from the state because of many of our underperforming groups that have historically been there. And so we are working extremely hard to flip that narrative. So I often share flyers and things like that, but like there is just a lot going on in our country now, and there's just a lot of hate. And hate has almost become something that is accepted, and we have leaders who are using hate and fear and things like that. And so again, when we say all means all, to see something like this is just everyone is welcome. This may not seem like much to some people, but for some people, it's like, oh my goodness, our flag is there. We're welcome. Our language is there. Mom, dad, look at this. I mean, like it means something. And so just hats off out to our site leaders who embrace this, to our employees who embrace this. And if you go to these events, you will see the happiness and pride that families have. So I just want to, this is Katie Kuntz doing this over at Gregory Gardens over in Pleasant Hill, and she's doing a wonderful job there, making everyone feel welcome. And again, just some pictures of that. You know, we have our District English Learner Advisory Committee, DLAC, and just seeing the diversity there where we embrace people using other languages, and we advise our families, our parents, and our elders to make sure that they encourage their students not to lose their home and their language of origin. We don't want them to lose that, but also we need them to learn English so that they can access the curriculum. And then the other picture here is a parent event over at Monty Gardens, and it is these are Afghan parents, and to see this in Mount Diablo, if you go to any of our high schools and look through the yearbooks over the years, you'll see why, like, this is a picture, and this is what it means. They are our parents. They need access. I don't care what religion they follow. I don't understand their religion, but it doesn't matter. I'm not afraid of it. I want to embrace them because they're part of our community, and we are a community of people who come together and support one another. And so I just, this picture just caught my eye as I was scrolling through some of our materials out there. So this really brings those words to life, which we put on our LCAP, some of it, but let's continue on. Our SOAR program, again, creating that safe and welcoming environment. We have families, because economics, they need help. And we are a place where if you don't have your basic needs met, it's really hard to come to school and to be able to engage and to be able to give your very best. And we have a lot of staff, we have a lot of resources there. And if our students and families aren't in the right place, then they can't receive those resources. So I'm really proud about our SOAR. Something else that our SOAR program runs is, and I mentioned this at the last meeting, is that although it's National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, we have been doing human trafficking lessons coming out of the administrators had to do it. We wanted others to do it, but just I won't go into that, but administrators had to pick up the ball and do that. But we are teaching our students about human trafficking, all age appropriate, of things so that they can advocate for themselves. And I just think that it's a shame that the trafficking of children is in our national narrative now. I think that is a shame, and we are just appalled by that as someone who's dedicated his life, professional life, to serving kids. So there is curriculum here. If the live link of this flyer actually has curriculum, age-appropriate curriculum, that we are making available to our community so that folks can protect themselves and make sure that our students are safe. Again, Dr. Martin Luther King, this isn't a black-white thing, but, that was on top of what he was fighting for, and that was what he was killed. But as we celebrate Dr. King nowadays, we're not asking people to go out and protest. We're not asking people to take out to the streets, even though I think it is a national tragedy that the national parks now are not free on Dr. Martin Luther King's day. And that was something intentionally done. It's a tragedy. However, on Martin Luther King's birthday, we go out and do service. So go and beautify a neighbor's garden or a yard or a school or something, but it's a day of service. And I think if we could do more things like that, that ought to be what we're talking about to bring our communities and cultures together, is how can we serve one another, not how can we separate and divide. Again, when we talk about Mount Diablo, and I want to be very clear, when I talk about people in their basements, just emailing and going on social media, I'm talking about nationally. Like if you go to social media and you just read comments, everyone has something negative to say about public education. And Mount Diablo is not immune to that. People speak negatively about Mount Diablo, but I really don't think that they understand all of the things that we do in this district that don't take place around us. These things do not happen at other places. The level of support that we provide our students, to know that we have programs where we're showing our 8th graders how to weld, that just does not happen. So we're showing our 8th graders how to weld. We have high school students there talking to younger students about the medical patient care pathways, and I just think it's a great way. I'm so thankful for Dr. Fontanella and her team for all the work that they do to expose our students to what else is out there, and to get them excited about learning. We also, as highlighted in our Friday letter this week, we have students. When we say like this older generation that I'm a part of, like, we're cooked. All right, we need the youngsters to come and take this stuff over, okay? And when you see what these youngsters are doing, so here you have this young lady here who created holiday care packages to our to our first responders, to law enforcement, like that's what young people are doing when you have faith in young people and just let them do what they need to do and not put some ideology on them or things on them. You just let them produce. This is what we get. So again, we have this young lady from Valley View Middle School. We have this college now 11th grader, who give them a chance, right? Give this student a chance. Don't have your classrooms so lockstep that there's no opportunities for innovations and for students to create. You let students create, give them some parameters. This student just won the business pitch competition, and so just I'm always so proud and so passionate about our students, and I take it personally when people degrade and talk poorly about our schools and about our students. Another student from Sequoia Middle School has their art. Not only is it just art, but it's recycled materials, right? Like I recycle every single thing in my house, and I feel sometimes when I go and visit relatives in Texas or something, and they're throwing soda cans in the garbage can, I'm having a heart attack. Like, what are you doing? So like to see that our students are embodying that and then taking those recycled things and making art is just another beautiful thing. Again, within our LCAP goals, we talk about academic achievement, and I want to point out excellence, right? We have excellence taking place over at Northgate High School with their advanced placement, with the amount of students who took advanced placement, the pass rates, things like that. We're going to support Northgate just as we support Mount Diablo High School, or just as we support any of our other high schools. They're all our students. They're all doing great things when given the opportunity and resources. College Now, that's Miss Shaw. She's a College Now teacher, and she is just truly amazing. When we go out and visit College Now, we see what I'm talking about when it comes to real teachers who develop relationships with their kids, who encourage them, who support them, like so many of our educators do, and so many of our staff do. But the College Now program is just such a gem that we have right in our district, and to be so close to DVC is wonderful. So they're recruiting kids from Mount Diablo High, and hopefully, they can recruit, every year, I've been here, that program has continued to grow and grow and grow, and I want to see it continue to flourish and grow. So just another great thing that we offer. This is in our schools. This is in our schools. So when people say, oh, well, look at your test scores, you don't think we're working on that? You think I can just snap my finger and all of a sudden we got 100% pass rates and proficiency rates across the board? No, it takes time, it takes work, it takes commitment, it takes just being stubborn and saying, no, our kids are going to learn to read, they're going to learn math, they're going to do those things. And so I love seeing these young people. This is not staged. This is not like, these kids are working. And I love the little girl with the flashlight. That's a reading technique. Use that flashlight to highlight the words. Here goes more kids, and I know we got our students over on the computers, but you know what? Yeah, we have to have some screen time in our class. We have programs, we have assessments, we have things that take place online. Our kids are working. They are working, they are being taught. There's lots of other factors that go into bringing up test scores and bringing achievements. And yeah, I would like our test scores to mirror Lafayette and Orinda and all that stuff. That would be great. But I'll put the activities that we provide in our district up against any district in the county anytime. So just always happy to see this. So one of the things is, I've talked about our CAFS test. Our CAFS test is the end of the year assessment. And when we get the data, it's kind of like an autopsy. The kids have moved on, they got a new teacher, they got a new grade. They may not even be taking the test again if they're going into 9th, 10th grade or something like that. But something that we can do during the year. And I want to be clear with this, and I got to spell it out so people understand what we're doing. So we use Renaissance Star assessments, and we collect data at the beginning of the year, BOY, and so acts as a screener to see where students are and then to group them for instruction. So with our young students, like, you shouldn't have just all kids all the time just sitting in rows in all groups. We ought to break our kids up into different groups for targeted instruction. Then in the middle of the year, MOY, it acts as a checkpoint to see if current instructional strategies are working, or if a student needs extra help, which we would call an intervention, right? And then at the end of the year, we'll give another summative measure to see how much total growth was achieved. It didn't say to see if students reached grade level or reached beyond grade levels. Let's measure the growth. Let's see how our students are growing. Regardless, when a student walks in our door, they should leave better than when they came in. That's what we want to focus on. So we've just pulled some data. So over in Bel Air, we have a tremendous admin team over there who are doing great things. Great staff over there is committed. Right now, in 3rd through 5th grade, their middle of the year reading has increased 9% on STAR. Middle of the year math has increased 6%. Chronic absenteeism, which is one of our goals, which is the superintendent's goal. I had some questions about the superintendent's goals, or about the superintendent bringing up test scores. There's no kids coming to 1936 Carlotta. I don't teach kids. I used to, but I have to set up the system so that the professionals who do teach kids and do manage kids, and that's everybody, custodians, cafeteria, secretaries, office managers, teachers, aides, everyone has something to do with this. But if you're not at school, then you can't learn. So one of the superintendent's goals is to decrease chronic absenteeism. And at this particular school where chronic absenteeism is high and it's a focus of the group, they've decreased 4.4%. And then another area of growth that we have is the progress of our multilingual learners. And so here we have 100% of our K-5 teachers have completed their first observation protocol for teachers of English learners, so which is OPTEL. So again, in order for students to be reclassified, there's several steps that need to take. Yes, it's their academics, but also teachers need to do an observation of them, and that wasn't happening. So now we have made that a goal. We're giving them support and training, and so it's happening. And this is a school that has many multilingual learners. And if you wonder who those learners are, thanks to our secondary director, Ruth Steele, she recommended that we use this program called EduClimber. That is Bel Air School. So when we look at numbers, this is what I see. And this is our data program. So now instead of just seeing bar graphs, the bar graphs are actually pictures of kids. And I can tell you, every last one of these kids has someone who loves them and who wants them treated with respect and wants them welcomed and wants the very, very best for them. That's what I do to make sure that that happens. So that's Bel Air. We got Ayers Elementary, where their middle of the year has increased 4% first through fifth grade. Math increased 3%. Chronic absenteeism dropped. And if you want to know who the Ayers kids are, there they go. There they are. Grandkids, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, all those things. Like that's why we're in this work. We're not in this work for anything else except them. That's why we're all here. So I just want to highlight some of these. I'm not going to show pictures of all the kids. Monty Gardens, they got a logo. I'll put their logo on here. But look at these. Look at this growth in first grade. What is going on in first grade? They grew 24%. What's going on in third grade? 11%. Fourth grade, 3%. Fifth grade, 2%. So like these are those little wins. Let's go see what's going on there. Let's talk to those teachers. Let's see what's happening. ELA proficiency gains 3% in third grade, 6.7%, 6.7%, and they're decreasing their chronic absenteeism. Silverwood, I can again 16%, 8%, 9%. Chronic absenteeism decreased from 14% to 8.9% at this particular time. Now again, this is a lot better than just a shot in the dark. I think our kids are doing well. And so like I hear comments, people come and do comments, oh, we're assessing our kids too much. Sometimes, yeah, but you got to do some sort of assessment. You got to do an assessment. So like the job of the superintendent is to make sure our principals, because I've shared with this board before, when we looked at local assessments, we had some schools that were at a 60% completion rate, 70% completion rate, right? So I'm going to hold that principal responsible to make sure it's 100%. And if you have in classrooms that aren't doing these assessments, then it's the principal's job to make sure that those assessments take place. But it's also the principal's job to create the environment so that the teacher can levy those assessments. So again, we are looking at our participation rates, and it is mandatory that it's 100% at all schools. And I can't hold the teachers responsible, but I can hold the principals responsible for that happening. Woodside, same types of things here. And again, I'm not going to do every school, but I have data on every school. So that's what I wanted to share. We do the warm, fuzzy, beautiful stuff, but at the heart of it is those pictures of those kids. That's why we're here, and they're here to feel welcome. We have to make sure that their needs are met, but then once they're here, we have to educate them. And unfortunately, a lot of our kids are under a lot of stress because of just things that are going on in our communities, and it's playing out in our schools. And I don't see that as a deficit. I see it as our job to embrace that and to do the best we can to help those students with whatever they're going through. And I bring that up because we have students every day who are threatening harm on themselves. And that is something that I don't see as a deficit. I see it as an opportunity. What can we do as school systems to support those students? And so I am appreciative of this board for setting those goals. I appreciate this board for holding me accountable. And I just appreciate this board for your compassion and your empathy but most important, for your high standards of what you want from this district and from our students. And it's my job to do the best. Now, there's 3,800 employees. I'm going to do the best I can to make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. But we have a very cohesive admin team, and we work extremely hard. All of our admin are on the same page when it comes to what our mission is. And that is something that I'm extremely proud of, and extremely proud to lead them as we lead this organization and serving all of our students. So again, thank you. I know if I didn't have slides, I would have gone on longer. So anyway, that's why I put the slides up there. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for starting us out on a good note there, Dr. Clark. Okay, consent agenda. Anybody have any comments, things to pull? If not, I'll entertain. Oh, we got a card. Somebody's got some. Okay, Linda Ortega, 14.9 she wants to comment on. We'll hear from her, and then we'll see if anybody wants to pull anything.
Good evening again. I do want to bring this item forward as the district considers traveling outside of our area to recruit educators. We have heard from our international educators after they have arrived that they did not realize how large our area is and how expensive it is to live here. So when speaking with these educators, I would hope that the person who is going out to recruit them, that they give them the understanding of what is expected when they move here. In the past, Armadillo members had to pull together gift cards, furniture, anything they need, give them a bus route to show them where their school site will be, helping them. We just want to make sure that when they come here and they accept this teaching position, that they understand. So let's all make sure once they arrive, they are welcome and supported as they educate our students. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Okay.
I move to approve items listed. Oh,
Items to pull. I was hoping to pull 14.14 and 14.22.
14
and 14.
22?
Yes.
Okay, now you can make a motion.
I move to approve items listed under the consent agenda, except for the ones that have been pulled.
Second.
Second by our student. If you didn't hear, he's very soft-spoken. Okay. All right. That passed. So now we have 14.14 was the first one, right? Okay.
14.
Which now becomes 15.1. Go ahead, Dr. Lawrence. Dr. Lawrence. I just promoted you, but go ahead, Trustee Lawrence.
I pulled the wrong one. So I pulled the wrong one, so I'll just go ahead and make a motion to approve 15.1.
Okay.
It's 15.2, Trustee Lawrence.
Great, thank you. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So 15. So sorry, we need to deal with 15.1 first.
Okay.
Which I did not.
Okay, so
That was pulled at the very beginning of the
Right.
meeting. For discussion, it's gone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that one we don't have to deal with because that's on the next agenda, correct, Dr. Clark?
Yeah.
Okay, so now
15.2, I
There you
did
go.
mean to pull. Thank you. That just threw me for a moment. And so I just wanted to note here that it is listed that one of the reasons why we are seeing an increase here is because of the tariffs. And so I just wanted to take a moment to make people aware that what is happening at a federal level has a day-to-day impact on how we operate the school district, our costs, and the price of goods and the price of serving our students. And so I just wanted to call that out. And then with that, I would move for the approval of item 15.2.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Lawrence, a second by trustee Mayo. We'll now vote on it. Okay, and that one passes 5-0 with consent from our student. And so that takes us to 15.3, which was, it'll be up there. There we go. Potential approval of the 2025-26 contract amendment.
And so this is a very substantial increase into a cost for budget for non-public schools. And so I see Dr. Aguili walking up, but I had asked Dr. Clark if we could just, there were a slew of them. This was the largest dollar one. And so I was just hoping that Dr. Aguili could share some more information around what drove this and how we should be thinking about this.
Yeah, again, on our consent agenda, I believe that we may have had we had four pretty large contracts that have to do with non-public services or hiring outside contractors to do the work. And so Dr. Aguili is going to just share how and why some of these prices are skyrocketing. So Dr. Aguili.
Good evening. Thank you for asking the question. The way that the contracts initially work is we start out contracting with a variety of different providers, and then based on their availability of staff, we secure actual services from them. So we sort of enter a master contract. Each of the services that we receive from them is documented on something called a service agreement that's tied to the IEP. And so what ends up happening is, so for example, we might contract with one company, but then they're unable to produce the people. So then we move it to another one. So typically the total budget for the year remains constant based on our budgeted amount. However, it does shift between providers. What we do is we bring the increases to the board, not necessarily the decreases, but it is reflected that it is no additional cost to the overall district budget, more of a shift in alignment with student IEPs and availability of providers from the agency. Yes. Non-public placements, non-public schools, we did an analysis recently. The non-public schools over the past 5 years have increased by about 26% on average, with some of our non-public placements going up. The lowest was 15%, and the highest in addition was 46% increase. So over that same period of time, we've reduced the numbers of our students in non-public schools by increasing the numbers of programs that we're offering in the district. So we've opened up more special classes in the district. But even though we're doing our very best to keep the children in our district and not othering them to other placements, we are still battling consistent increases in those costs just simply due to what the providers are charging us. It's not limited to any one public school. As I said, it's across multiple of them. I remember when I first came here, non-public schools averaged about $172 a day. Now some of them are up in about $350 range.
And I do want, because oftentimes special ed is one of those topics that we get a lot of negative comments about and publicity about. But I want to, first of all, at the root of it are those pictures that someone's child who has unique needs that require special services, and the work of Dr. Aguili and her team to do the best that we can to try to keep those folks close to us, and maybe have a student who has severe autism be able to actually attend their neighborhood school would be a great thing. But that student learns differently than some of the other students there in the class. And so again, when we talk about empathy and acceptance and understanding, that's an important thing. And because if that student is not with us at that school, we got to send them to Fairfield, to Richmond, to, in some cases, they have to travel long distance to go to a non-public school, and we're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes for that placement. If it's a residential placement, they may need to go to Utah or something like that, and we pay for that. So anyway, I want to just really honor the work that you all do, and I know that not a lot of people show up with flowers and hugs and praise and stuff, but you're getting your flowers and praise now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And to be really clear, we take it really seriously that our kids belong with us. We can serve them better than anybody else can. And that matters, right? It matters a lot. We can give them a good education. They're our kids. They belong here. And this has never been, I mean, we are stewards of fiscal resources, of community resources, public resources, but our obligations to that kid and that family. And that's what we're trying to do. And Dorothy's here. She often says lovely things, but I'm happy to answer questions about our programs at any time.
Thank you, Trustee Moore.
Thank you for that. I would also just add that there are, schools in our area that aren't part of MDUSD that are not as able or willing to serve these students. And I think we take it as just a responsibility and a privilege for us to be able to serve them. And just thank you so much for the work that you do. And Dr. Clark, thank you for your words. So with that, I would move the approval of item 15.2.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by trustee Lawrence, second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and that passes unanimously with your consent. All right.
Thank you.
Getting to business and action items. 17.1, review and potential approval of tentative agreement between the Mount Diablo School Psychologists Association and Mount Diablo Unified School District.
A
Ryan.
little bit of good news and some collaboration, and we have Mr. Sheehy to share that.
Absolutely. The Human Resources Department is excited to bring this tentative agreement forward tonight that we did reach with the Mount Diablo School Psychologists Association back on November 10th. And just due to timing, we weren't able to submit the AB 1200 right away, and we have since. And so the tentative agreement here is for the 25-26 school year. We will be opening up negotiations again soon with them, but this does wrap up this contract year. And with that, I leave this approval in the hands of the board.
Thank you. Motion?
I move to approve the tentative agreement between the Mount Diablo. Sorry. Yeah, no, I was reading the wrong line. The Mount Diablo School Psychologists Association and Mount Diablo Unified School Districts.
Second.
Have a motion by trustee Nzewi, second by trustee McDougal. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0 with approval from our student trustee. Next, we have established board education committee assignments for 2026. I sent an email out to all the board members. I heard from a couple of them. The only changes we made is where a trustee count has served before, I put trustee Lawrence there, and the audit is usually always done by the president and the vice president of the board, so I made that change. So if there's any changes you want to suggest, we could do it next meeting or we can approve it. That's up to you guys.
I move that, is it established or? Yeah, I move that we establish the 2026 board committee assignments as you assigned them.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion by trustee Nzewi, second by trustee McDougal. Trustee Barrera, it gets at the end of the night, your name gets longer and longer. Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and that passed. That takes us to 17.3, review and potential approval of proposed changes to administrative regulation 1312.1, complaints concerning district employees.
So we did pull this item last time. We want to bring it back. We did meet and come to an agreement with our labor partners. And so we are recommending that we accept the changes as we accept the changes as noted.
Okay, thank you.
I move the board adopt the amendments to Administrative Regulations 1312.1 and the Exhibit 1312.1 as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee Lawrence. Trustee Vera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500 with approval from our student trustee. Next, 17.3, review, no, we did that one. 17.4, review and potential approval of revision to board policy BP 5030, student wellness, to add the USDA non-discrimination statement.
It was added.
And that's was added, so I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the board approve item 17.4, the revision to the board policy 5030, student wellness, to add with the addition of the USDA non-discrimination statement.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion from trustee Lawrence, a second from trustee Vera Oriana. And that passed. Okay. Huh?
You never know.
Yeah, it did. Okay. Next is going to be review potential change to the board policies, administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations, September 2024 quarterly update. It says back for approval.
Yeah, so you've already reviewed these, and so we're bringing 4 of these back for approval.
Okay.
I move to approve changes, the revisions to board policies 6152.1 and 6163.4 and administrative regulations 6152.1 and E's for exhibit 6163.4 as presented.
Second. Motion by trustee Nzewi, second by trustee McDougal, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Trustee Loriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500. Consent from our student trustee. And next will be review and potential approval of changes to the board policies and administrative relations per California School Board recommendation.
Yes, so I'll
2020.
yes, and the great thing about quarterly updates, I know we're a bit behind, but we can count 4 months at a time. So you can see we've gone from September to December, and we're going to keep on moving here. But on this one, we're bringing 4 for a first read. We're bringing 1 back for an approval and 2 to postpone approval pending additional review. So we are asking for a motion to postpone BPAR 5148.2 pending additional review and move to approve only BP 6170.1 as presented. And I have language if someone wasn't taking notes.
So only 1548.2 is the one we're approving. Okay.
No, 6170.
No.
61. The last. How about
Oh, the last one, 1548.
Want to read the?
Yes.
17.6.
Move we approve board policy 6170.1
Okay.
with the others being held for further presentation, for a future presentation.
I'll second that.
Just showing off.
Okay, we have
We have-
a motion by trustee Mason, second by trustee McDougal.
Not showing off. I just want it done right.
Trustee Guerrero Oriana,
Yes.
okay, and that passes 500 with consent from our student representative. And so now we are on 17.7, review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations, March 2025.
Yes.
Two of them are coming back,
Two
right?
are coming back, yeah.
Just the two listed here. We don't need any more information. Okay, we got it. I will entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that we approve draft BP 6142.94, History, Social Science Instruction, and draft BP 6142.93, Science Instruction.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, so we have motion by trustee McDougal, second by trustee Oriana, Barrero Oriana, and trustee Barrero Oriana. How do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500. I think this is it, right? 17.8. Review of changes to board policies and amendment regulations per California School Board recommendations, June 2025, quarterly update, 5 for review. First one we have to, go ahead.
No, and it's for a first read, but I really, I want to thank you all for going through these. I know these are not like bedside reading and things like that. They are difficult, and then with all the line outs and colors, I understand that, but staff, you know, we're trying to catch up as best as possible. Laura really hounds us to to make sure that these get done, and because Suzanne will then everything is, what does the policy say? So so they have to be updated. So I really appreciate you all going through that, and Trustee Mayo, I know I was joking with you, but
I know.
your eye really helps us a lot in this. So
Well, I think what's really important is when we aren't current, we risk greater chances of a lawsuit. And that's why this is so critical. So thank you. Thank
And
you
we
to everyone
appreciate-
that's involved.
I was going to say, we appreciate you guys back for making sure we stay updated on, because it's a never ending job we are seeing. Okay, if there's nothing else,
Just
I think we are adjourned for the evening.
Future meeting.
Huh?
Request for a future meeting item.
No, I don't want to hear
No?
it. Okay. What would you like to
It's a
hear?
different kind of presidency. I was hoping that we could, at a future meeting, have a discussion around the aftercare programs. As we've heard, we've heard from Bancroft with Diana Dare. I know Walnut Acres, and I think this is one of the things, as we talk about how we can continue to attract and retain students, that is really critical to that. There are balances around school property, how it can be used, and things like that. And so I was hoping that we could, if the president and superintendent were willing, that we could have a presentation and discussion around that.
With that, Happy New Year, and we are adjourned.
We're meeting next week.